Welcome to Season 4 of John McGivern's Main Streets.
Great, fun, and cool? Yes! Come on! Yes!
The Main Streets podcast takes you behind the scenes of this popular PBS Wisconsin program. Now, get the inside scoop on this week's episode from hosts John McGivern and Emmy Fink and the Main Streets producer and director Lois Maurer.
We're just back from Indianapolis, Indiana, which is our episode 2 for season 4. I'm here with Lois Maurer, who's the producer, of course. We're always here with Lois. We're here with Emmy Fink, who's the co-host. And we're here with Ken Schellen, who is the producer of this episode. Hey, Ken.
Hello.
So can we talk to you about what it was like to get down there before we showed up and what you found and what you gave us?
Yes. Well, this was one where it was on my list. Like, personally, I wanted to visit Indianapolis. I had heard good things about it and seen things. And then you said, oh, wait, you're considering Indianapolis? Check out Bottle Works. And it was like, that's what I had heard about.
Right.
So this is obviously out there in the
We both
news.
wanted to go there.
Yeah, we both were interested.
And we went.
Completely separately. But we went down. It did not disappoint. I mean, that whole area is amazing.
So if somebody says to you, what's Bottle Works, Ken? How would you describe that?
Well, thanks for asking, John. Bottle Works is a giant, well, it's kind of cool. It's one of those situations where they had a huge empty building and did something cool with it. Used to be the biggest Coca-Cola bottling plant in the world for a while. Yeah. And built in a time where they were doing Art Deco, ornate things to the buildings and really cool architectural things. Right. So they had this cool building. Coca-Cola moved away and they found something interesting to do with it. Make a hotel and some shops and eateries and just this whole complex where people can come and have fun. I mean,
and the thought that it used to be a district that was all about manufacturing Coca-Cola. And now it's just a complete go-to sort of destination for tourism in Indianapolis. It's pretty remarkable.
I think Lois and I went there on like a Monday. We arrived on a Monday. And the place was hopping. There was people everywhere. I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
Well, and it's right by downtown.
Yeah.
So it used to be this big manufacturing area, and there's still a lot of buildings that need to be reused in that area. But what's surprising to me was it's literally down one arm from the statue in the middle of downtown.
Right.
It's nothing's far. You know, that's the other thing I liked about this episode. It was all close together.
Yeah.
Because we just picked Mass Ave, right? Massachusetts Avenue. And there's a lot to do in that area.
Yeah. So that's our episode. It's Indianapolis, Mass Ave.
Indy's
and
one of the
happens to be there.
Yeah, Indianapolis is one of the biggest cities in the Midwest. So we were like, we got to just choose a part.
Right.
So we can come back.
Yeah, we definitely can come back.
Right.
Yeah. And we stayed at the hotel in Bottle Works, which, can I tell you, it was really quite the memory of kind of the best part of the season, I think, so far. We've only done 2, but.
Well, it was great because normally we don't stay in a place that we knew we were going to feature Bottle Works. We had already chosen it.
Right.
We had the tour, and we were like, this is really beautiful. And we knew dang well we could never afford it.
Right.
Our little PBS budget our nonprofit budget isn't going to do it. And it was after we chose them and we had booked someplace else to go that they reached back out, right, Ken, and said, if you want to stay here, we'll cut you a rate. And we were like, oh my gosh, it saved so much time.
Right.
We were right where we were shooting.
Yeah.
That was a real godsend.
Well, that moment of opening that hotel door, didn't you all feel like, wow, I've made it in life? Because that is exactly how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't realize how this works. The fact that Lois and Ken go down to this. So you were there in March or April sometime?
It was cold and gray.
Yeah.
And come back with so many options for what the episode's going to be like. Now, it was limited to Mass Ave because that's the episode. So how did you choose the 6, 7 things that we highlighted?
Yeah, we went down not really knowing what area of town we would highlight, but we quickly narrowed it down to Mass Ave. We worked with Claire at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. She was very helpful, and she had her favorites, but then, I had done some research. We wandered around and poked our heads into places and gathered up this list. And I'll jump ahead a little. I enjoyed the site survey so much that the eclipse came up a few weeks after that. I was like, I'm going to go back down to Indianapolis for the eclipse.
Oh, geez.
So that's where I stayed in Indianapolis and poked my head into a few other places once I was down there and saw some other things. So we pulled together the list of 6 or 7 things.
And it has to be based on representing what that city really is about.
Right.
So like we chose the Athenaeum, for example. And the Athenaeum is this old German club. And in Milwaukee, we're familiar with the Turners.
Right.
And that was another Turner's in Indianapolis. And when it ties to the city architecturally and ethnically and just being such a presence in that area, that's a no-brainer, right? So then you come back and what we have to do is figure out, how do you want to cover that? You want to do just an interview there with the executive director? Do you want to talk to the person who runs the gym? Would you rather talk to the janitor? Who do you want to talk to? And so in the Athenaeum, that was the one where you, John, and Emmy were together.
Right.
And so then we had to have a whole discussion about how do you cover that?
Right. That was
With
like
a plate full of sausage, right?
Right. We were in the Bavarian beer hall in the basement.
Wasn't that cool?
Yes.
And
Yes.
of course, the whole gym part of it.
Oh, right. We covered that too.
Yeah, who would we put in the gym, you or John?
Why are you laughing, Ken? That's so rude, Ken.
You caught me.
I can see you and hear you.
I'm right
Ken,
here. Yeah.
It's just the rudest.
I don't
So
know,
it was
but
Emmy who went to the gym.
Surprise!
Before we had the sausage,
But-
which really makes sense.
I mean, those dumbbells didn't seem like you were working that hard with
No,
those
they were like
super
the
light.
vintage dumbbells from how many years ago?
Right.
It's funny what they'll throw out when they see Brian come in with a camera. They're like, "Oh, we have something good for you people."
Yeah.
And
Sounds
it
a
only
good
took us, it only took me 3 or 4 or 17 takes to get the pronunciation of that place. I'm not even going to say
Say it again, say
no,
it again.
Athenaeum.
No.
See?
Athenaeum?
There you go.
See, look, you actually do your research.
Well, it's okay. You look great, Emmy. Yeah. We did that morning. My favorite part of the episode? What was yours, Lois? I wonder if it's...
I don't know. I don't know. I had some.
I loved, and think about the shoe store. The shoe store, it's the largest shoe store in...
They say it's the oldest shoe store in the
Oldest.
country.
You've been in this location for how long, this shoe store?
Since 1886.
Say it one more time.
1886. It's unbelievable. We opened in this location. We've never moved, never closed, and we are still here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, why is this such a great place to shop for shoes?
We kind of cater to everyone. Just so many widths and sizes and styles, and being measured and fitted is really important.
Has the art of measuring changed?
No.
'Cause no.
It's
Is
still
it that same?
it's the Brandic device. It hasn't changed.
Right.
Not sure how that's possible.
And it's
but
that shoe store from my youth, and I'm old. So when you go and you know the tool that they use to measure your foot, and it so reminded me of my father bringing us to the Odd Lot shoe store on 3rd Street. I had an 11.5 triple A is what I had when I was in 8th grade. It looked like a pencil. And the fact, and I said, I think my foot is an 11.5 B, and she said, take your shoe off. Come on. I'm glad I wore. Well, I always wear really good socks.
Yeah, check for holes, none good.
And she says, your foot's 11.5 B. That's what it is. I'm like, oh my Lord. So it just grew a little wider, but like it was quite the throwback to what a shoe store really was.
Because
growing
they
up for me.
preserved a lot of the stuff that was in it, like that cash system that
Yeah, the
runs across the
basket was-
ceiling.
yeah.
That was really cool.
I mean, how many places can you go in now where they actually fit you for your shoe? And I've never heard of an 11.5 A or B. So the letter is the what? Represents the width?
Yeah.
And is there a C?
Oh, C, D, E.
So like bus sizes.
Exactly.
Interesting.
What size are you?
Feet.
Shoe
Your
size.
feet.
On both.
So
I thought you were going to say the glass. The woman who has the glass
Again, that
shop.
was
because
very cool.
You love glass. I
Yeah.
love glass. And I always said that I've always put like one in a season. I'm glad it wasn't Indy because she was fantastic. And it
she
was
wasn't
really cool.
fantastic, but they put me to work. I was like, I am by the furnace.
I was watching the footage and I could tell how hot it was just watching the footage, looking at you guys. Like, it must be scorching over there, standing
was.
right next to
But
it.
it sure was cool.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, John. What makes a place more memorable? The person who you talk to or the actual place?
I think the actual place really kind of goes well with the person. So it's usually a combination of both. And people realize that what I love is manufacturing. I love kind of the industrial, the stuff we get into. And the glassworks was kind of like this is how things were made. What people do glass art-wise is very industrial. So it kind of fit exactly. The whole art and industry thing for me was perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think when it comes to you doing stuff,
Yeah.
if it's a smaller location rather than a larger location, for example, the glass maker is in 2 rooms, right? So you were cutting glass and doing all that. Later in the season, we'll go to a glass maker and it was gigantic factory.
Right.
Those are different experiences for you. And you talk about memorable, they're memorable, but in a different way. It seems to me the smaller kind of places are the ones that you get your hands more dirty.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's not as dangerous.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the size of town. I love the fact that we went to a really large city and that we completely defined where and what we were going to do. Like it was only 10 blocks.
Yeah,
that we
really
covered.
got to know a neighborhood.
And would love to go back
Yeah.
because there's so much more in that huge city in Indiana. And I think it gives us opportunity to get back. And I would love to go back there.
And I would love to go back there and take a tour with the guy from Through 2 Eyes. What was his first name?
Yeah, Samson.
Samson. He was the best.
He was my favorite part of this. And I've got a story about that because I went back to Indy as a tourist for this eclipse thing. And I was in the Kurt Vonnegut Library and I saw him, which is not in Mass Ave area, other side of town. I saw him finishing a tour with a bunch of people and they're all clapping and happy. I'm like, oh, that seems like a really nice guy. Too bad he gives tours on this side of town. Right. But I just kind of like noted who he was. And when we were putting this together, Lois, you and I were looking for like, we need a neighborhood person. We need the perspective. I was like, I wonder if he knows about Mass Ave. Well, it turns out he grew up there. He's from there. You know, he was actually working on a Mass Ave tour when I called him. So boom, he's in.
Wow, you've done your research
Yes.
on the
dedicated.
ground level, out with the people.
That man needs his own TV show.
Totally.
He
does.
was so perfect and really knowledgeable and fun and inclusive. And it was a great time. We could have spent the week with him.
A lot of times if you hit people that are tour guide types, like historians and that kind of stuff, they have a pitch. Do you know what I mean? They have a speech that they've memorized and they walk down the street. There was none of that with
None
him,
of it.
which is what made it so engaging.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you talk to people, it's engaging because you really don't even know what you're going to say next.
No, it was good. So your favorite was that
Samson, he just was so good. And as a producer, the first thing I thought was, I wonder if I could get a show going with him in Indy.
Right.
But we'd have to do it in the winter because I shoot Main Streets all summer, you know.
Right. Yeah, I do know that.
You're well aware. Yeah.
We've only been doing this for 15 years. Yes. Can we talk about your most frustrating part of Indianapolis?
Ooh, what is it?
She has forgotten.
Really?
Tell me.
Can't you see it on her face? She has forgotten.
No right turns?
We really need a driver for Lois because she has so
I
much
did
on
the
her
last-
mind.
yeah.
You have done it.
I have.
There's been a bit of uncomfort around me driving sometimes.
You're too busy working.
Right. She's on the phone with the next person that we're going to meet, letting them know we're most likely running late, whatever it is.
Or she's going 11 miles an hour, looking out. We need that.
We need the GoPro, Brian.
Brian, I think maybe we
Get
need
the GoPro. I think I only turned onto the wrong way on a one-way twice in that city, John.
And it was the same one.
There's got to be another frustrating part too, which I don't know if we can say on here.
Did it have to do with the dancing statue?
Oh, the dancing.
Well, no.
No,
but
that was
that
you.
was funny.
That was
that-
your
that was me.
frustration. Oh, that was John.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you saw the episode, you heard Dancing Ann. They call her Ann Dancing, by the way, and I had it wrong the whole time I was there. It's Ann Dancing. And so what do you do when you stand next to that statue? Emmy does just what I do.
You start dancing like Ann.
You do. She's just doing the thing. And so you can't help it. And
Right.
before you know it, you're looking at all the people there and they're just swaying along like
Right.
Ann.
Everyone's just
Nobody is swaying.
Everybody
along.
except
You are so wrong. And when you're like, hey, monkey boy, do the dance.
Dance for
I'm
me.
like, and it was the end of the week. It was the end of the day. And Emmy's up there like, hi.
Because
And
it's
Lois
not
is
the
like,
end of the week
"You
for me."
dance with her. And I'm like, you dance more. And Lois, and then I can tell when Lois has had enough and have me right up to here, which is above my head. I'm just pointing when she's like, just walk away. Just go. And I'm like, oh, she's a little irritated, but I don't care. I'm not dancing.
And you walk fast.
And he got his way. He's like, yes, I got my way.
Yeah. Because that embarrasses me. To stand on a street corner that's the busiest street corner in downtown Indy, for me to stand there and dance like a goon, like you were, Emmy, it's like I can't do it. I can't. I'm shy in my own way.
Do you get that? I don't get that.
That's why we've got Emmy.
But I think it's funny because I feel like you get less and less fearful of what other people think as you age.
Oh, no.
I mean, it definitely, like, every year I notice I just care less and less.
About being in a city
About
where
what
you know
anyone
no
else
one.
thinks.
Nobody knows you. You don't know anybody. You're going to be gone in 10 minutes, and nobody's going to go home and say, I saw these guys dancing in front of Anne. They're not going to that's not gonna
Lois, Lois, you're shooting it. It's going to live on forever. It's going to air on PBS stations forever for the rest of my life, past your life. And it'll be like, look at that stupid guy doing that stupid dance with that girl who looks good doing it. That's the point.
I am the worst dancer ever.
Well, then
Ever.
you did good with Anne dancing.
I will never ask you to dance again.
No,
I promise.
that's like do yoga. Remember that?
Yeah. No, and I have Emmy.
Right, I have been impressed because I've been editing some of the segments from various shows, and I literally watched the footage, and I feel that, like, oh, they're asking Emmy to do this, and Emmy goes, all right, let's do it, and she does yoga or dancing or whatever, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
And when they want to send somebody into a museum, and then I give you the look like, oh, please not me. Please not me. Don't make me talk about these art things that are framed that I'm supposed to care about.
Right.
John goes in
John will
and
do
knows
that.
all of the artists and talks to all the curators like he has been their neighbor for 50 years.
Right.
So
And
we
there's
all
that's,
have our
that's
strengths.
how it works.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Such a good compliment you two are. See? We are lucky.
Okay, well, Indy was great. Ken, thanks. It was a really good episode.
Yeah,
we
this
should
one.
mention a few other things, I think, for fun, because we did a restaurant that was right down across from Bottle Works called Bodie Restaurant.
Yeah, that was great.
It was really great.
Such good food. And 3 generations of women in there. The
Right.
grandma, the mom, and the daughter. They're right there in downtown Indy.
Such a
It's small.
Beautiful restaurant.
Yeah,
the
and quaint.
decor.
And people were
And-
lined up.
Were they?
Yeah.
We were in there before the doors opened for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And a half hour before the doors opened, the line was 15 people deep.
Because
And
they
it
don't
was
take
like,
reservations.
no reservations.
And people will stand there for hours to get in.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was good.
Yeah, very good food.
And people say to me, you eat a lot on this show? You know, look at you eating. Well, Lois is the reason for that, because she says, so whatever you'd like to highlight, whatever you think best represents, and a couple dishes, and then they're like, should we bring? Sure. How about sure? How about yeah? No, it's the best.
We are infringing on their time, right? We're
Yeah.
infringing on their space. They've agreed to help us. So the least we can do is let them showcase what they feel people would be attracted to.
Right.
And now some people are like, okay, I'll just make this one dessert. Other people are like 7 courses coming out the kitchen.
Right. And then
And
you
that-
turn the cameras off and then they feed you more.
Right.
And then they're
Right?
like,
I mean,
somebody
really,
has to
some
eat
people
this.
go so above and beyond.
And the
Yeah,
bar,
they're
I
really
love
nice.
there. I was like, come behind the bar, and this is Lois. He's in recovery. He won't be drinking. Just so you know, I'm like, okay, all I have to do is say no. I don't have to tell. So I go to meetings, and I keep coming back. It works if you work. It's fine.
And Volume Mod was the big industrial kind of thing that you went to, and we didn't visit that. We
Right.
we
On
came
the site
back.
survey, we didn't.
Yeah, we came back and said, "Oh, everything's falling into place. This is great. We got a restaurant. We got a hotel, and we don't have a big manufacturer." So I literally looked at the satellite view of that area and started. Is this? No, that doesn't seem like. And that seemed like the coolest place. So I haven't been there. The footage is great. They make these modular houses, and the guy tells me they do this great service to society of helping people who were incarcerated or veterans get jobs.
Yeah. It was a great episode. So we should go back to that city for another episode,
We will.
I think. We have a shout out, a listener shout out, a fan shout out. Leonard Akers from Clinton, Indiana. Thank you, Leonard, for watching and supporting John McGivern's Main Streets. Emmy, do we have a sponsor shout out?
We are going to give this week's shout out to Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. So if you are not familiar, it is just a little town, a very big town actually, north of Madison, truly taking on, they now have 2 big high schools, an amazing little downtown. You know, Sun Prairie is the town where there was a very large fire.
I remember it was a building exploding.
Yes, exactly.
Gas.
And yes, a gas leak.
Yeah.
And
It was so sad.
the fire chief lost his life. It was very, very sad. I was still living in Madison when that all took place. And just a great downtown. You wouldn't realize a town so close to Madison could have its own identity like that. And they
Yeah.
can completely survive just right there in Sun Prairie. It's darling.
And by sponsoring the show, it's really just a nod to, hey, you might want to check this out too, in addition to the places that we're actually featuring this season.
And Barbara was somebody who she had just, known and loved John from around the corner days and said, I want to be in front of that audience. So we thank Barbara, we thank the city of Sun Prairie, and we invite any other Wisconsin towns, Midwest towns who are
Call us.
interested.
Yeah, call us.
We'll get you on the show.
We'll be back. That was episode 2, season 4, John McGivern's Main Street. Thanks, you guys. Yay.
Thank you.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production, so come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv.